And then once I introduce you, once you talk, I'll share it. And we are live. Hey guys, welcome back to the Adlib podcast. Today is episode number 43. With us today, we have a special guest, friend of the show, Francesca, joining us today, replacing Mr.
Hey
Franco. How
everyone,
are you, Francesca?
I'm all right. I'm pretty good. I had quite a nice, exciting weekend. My sister got married,
Ooh,
so that was nice. Yeah, I think you might
congrats
actually know
to
him,
her.
Joe. I think Joe might know him. Jamie Greg. Were
I
you at
know at
school
least
together?
I know at least four Jamie Greggs.
Oh wow, okay. He's very into
um,
Star Wars, is what I can tell you.
Nice.
is he a doctor?
Yes.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
So my
He
sister got
was,
married to him.
yeah. Oh, okay, that's cool. I
Yeah.
believe he was a year above me in school, but yes, I do remember him.
So yeah, it's
Nice,
been
nice.
good. It's been nice. It's quite exciting.
What about you, Joe? How's it going?
I've been I've been better. I'll say that. I spent most of last week sick and working from
Oh
home
shit.
because of being sick. I feel a lot better now. I hope I sound a lot better than I did last week as well. Um, but then I had the cherry on top of feeling better yesterday was I got to watch a very special film, which at least I will be reviewing at the end of the show, which is All of Us Strangers. So more on
Nice.
that later.
Looking forward to that review.
Jealousy
So let's get
vibes.
into it. Yeah, so jealous, so jealous. Jesus. Let's get into it, guys. I guess we can start off before we get into all the nitty gritty stuff. We can start off with our sponsored section because, as our viewers and listeners know, this podcast is now sponsored by NBC Cinema. Oh my God, look what we've got there. Because this week is Killers of the Flower Moon Week, and I am so excited to go watch it on Friday. In fact,
Oh, the
these
tickets
are,
are
I
out,
mean,
I'm
look, even
seeing.
look, just looking at the coming soon. Yeah, tickets are out, tickets are out. So after this
Okay,
episode, time to go, go and book those
definitely,
tickets.
yeah.
Even
Yep,
looking at
yep,
the
yep.
coming soon, there's some interesting stuff here. Marvels, Napoleon, Wish, Hunger Games, Retribution, and this is some of the stuff that's just come out. So let's look at the movies available right now. We've got Paw Patrol, definitely one for the family. Mission Raniganj. I'm not too familiar with most of the Bollywood stuff, but that's available as well. The Nun 2, still doing. I'm so impressed. Like the Nun 2, box office wise, it's. I don't get how it's doing like so well. Like it's making
It's a
hundreds of
scary
millions
film
with
in
such a
Yeah.
Halloween.
It's
yeah.
it's it's
I
horror
mean,
part
in
of a
October.
well-known franchise. People will go see it.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
Part of the Conjuring series. I mean, to be fair, that explains more than explains it. A Haunting of Venice, another good horror movie you can go watch. I watched it also at Embassy, and that was a really fun movie to watch. Equalizer 3, still going strong. Denzel Washington with a very solid action thriller. Oppenheimer, still showing at the Embassy. Super epic movie. If you haven't watched Oppenheimer, what are you doing with your life? Saw X, which unfortunately I meant to go watch even this weekend, but I still have not had the time to go watch. Apparently, it's doing really well. Review-wise, it's also doing very well, sitting at in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So doing very well. The Expendables, which ends in the next couple of days. So if you haven't watched The Expendables 4, tomorrow is your last chance. The Exorcist Believer. I heard Joe will be coming to Malta to watch it here as well. And obviously, the big one, right? Killers of the Flower Moon. 3 hours and 26 minutes long. And I am looking
Oof.
forward to every one of those minutes. That's one chunky movie. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I think this is probably up there with my number two, three, maybe challenging with Oppenheimer for, the movie I was most looking forward to this year. So here we go. I'm really looking forward to it. Friday 20th. Can't wait. Francesca, are you coming on
Yes,
Friday?
I would very much like to join, please. So let me know when you're gonna buy
Nice, nice,
tickets,
nice.
and uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll do, we'll
I'm
do, we'll
glad we
do.
had
We'll do, we'll
Oppenheimer as a
definitely do.
kind of practice run for the 3-hour stretch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
looking
Look, I
forward
mean,
to that.
you guys do the 3 hours with an intermission. Crazy people like me do it without one.
Listen, I watched the first time I watched Oppenheimer. By the way, thank you to Embassy. That is the end of our sponsored section. I watched Oppenheimer the first time without an intermission as well when I watched it in Gozo,
Yeah, it's perfect, right?
which was perfect.
Yep.
Like that's how it should be. No
Yeah.
intermission. Because the second time I watched it, there was an intermission, and it's really ruined the pacing. I have to be honest about that. Like it really, really ruined the pacing of the movie. The whole build-up of building up to the bomb was kind of ruined with the intermission, which is very unfortunate. Well, yeah, 3 hours 30 minutes. I think maybe 3 hours 30 minutes deserves a bit of an intermission, right?
No.
I don't know.
Well,
No?
I mean, I do agree about the pacing and so on. I mean, both times I watched it with an intermission, and the second time around I said, oh, okay, I really get how much it kind of messed with the build-up of tension, but I was also really dying for the toilet. So and I just couldn't find a good place where to leave, and so I was like
I
very
would say
grateful.
that is your own fault and your own responsibility. As
I
someone
know,
with an
I
extremely
take
weak
full.
bladder, as someone with an extremely weak bladder going into these films, I don't drink for the entire day, and then I take
The
a drink in
day-
with me. Yeah. Who needs water when you have films?
By the way, to our viewers and listeners, thank you for joining us. Let us know in the comment section below. Do you think a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon, which is 3 hours and 26 minutes long, should have a toilet break? I don't know. I'm conflicted on this.
No.
It's like, yes, I need to go to the bathroom, and I don't want to miss a minute of a Scorsese movie, but at the same time, it might ruin, the pacing.
My opinion is grow up or get a nappy.
Catheter.
Fair enough. Let's get into it, guys, because we've got lots to talk about. Francesca, let us know, how has your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been watching? Tell us.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit just because there's this film I watched a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not technically in the past week, but I have to mention it because it blew my mind. And I believe in the review that I left on Prickly Pears, I said something along the lines of, I haven't felt this way about a film, rather the last time I felt this way about a film was Parasite. And I did not say that lightly. And this was Rotting in the Sun. And I don't know if you guys have watched. Have you watched it?
I have not, no.
What movie, Francesca? Because I didn't get to
Rotting in the Sun. It's
I
strangely
haven't.
enough,
No, I
it's
haven't.
not that big. I mean, it was on my radar because I follow Movie on on Instagram, on Facebook, and they were posting about it a lot. But wow, I don't really want to say much about it because, and even in the review I wrote, maybe kind of acknowledging that maybe not many people have heard about it. But okay, one thing I can say, and that won't ruin much, is that essentially the characters are playing themselves. The actors are playing themselves. So both the two main characters. So there's this guy, and he's a kind of a very uninspired director. He's made films before, but now he's totally uninspired, and he's lacking motivation, and he's wandering around Mexico. And then he meets this Instagrammer, this super famous Instagrammer, and both of them are their actual selves. But I won't say anything else, not even genre, nothing. Honestly, it's so entertaining. It's fun, it's funny, it's shocking, it's highly recommended. Honestly, go watch it. I just won't say anything else. Just go watch it.
Nice. Rotting in the Sun. Did you watch this online, friend?
On Mubi. So I got a Mubi subscription. It's a subscription that I am really happy about, honestly, because I mean, obviously, not all films I've watched on Mubi are like this impressive, but like most of the stuff you find there, I really, it feels really curated, you know, as a streaming platform, and makes me happy.
Nice.
So there was that. But also, thanks to, and this is also something I wrote about on Prickly Pears, because I felt just really lucky to have come across both of these. It's a series that I'm almost done with. It's just a couple of seasons. Very sadly, it was like cancelled because it didn't have so much success. But it's a Jim Carrey series, and it came out in like 2015, I believe. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that though. It's called Kidding. And it was made in collaboration with a few people, Dan Holstein being one of them. But what really drew me in and made me want to watch it, aside from a friend's recommendation, is that there's Michel Gondry working on it as well, or there was rather. And it's exactly my kind of thing. And this might not have universal appeal the way I would recommend Strutting in the Sun, but it is exactly the kind of thing that I like. Again in my review, I said it's a bit like an appetizer for a Charlie Kaufman film. You know, it's much milder, you know, much more universal appeal maybe, but it has that weirdness that you would expect from someone like Michel Gondry, who did Eternal Sunshine. So yeah, I feel like it's been quite a good time recently.
Nice. All right, Joe. I don't know if you want to talk about anything else, friend.
Um, I watched a couple of other things, but really these were the ones that stuck out. I watched Lessons in Chemistry, which we'll be talking about later. Yeah, I mean, something else might crop up, but I'll mention it as we go along. But yeah, mainly those.
All right, Joe. What about you? What have
Um,
you been up to?
on my end, as I said, like I was sick most of last week, so I was just staying indoors, not really doing anything. I wasn't even I had the opportunity to like probably watch a lot of things, but I didn't. All I did, apart from watching All of Us Strangers, I've seen 2 episodes of The Fall of House of Usher, and I think that's it. The usual Welcome to Wrexham catch up, but no one really cares about that. But no, not even like. Actually, no. It is the time of year in the UK, at least. I don't know how big the show is in Malta, but this is like a national event over here. The Great British Bake Off is back, and I, for one, am very happy for it, because it's just a good, wholesome hour of television. Where I see cakes, I want to eat the cakes, and then I try and make the cakes, and I never make the cakes as well. But it's always just a nice time. So I did watch some of that last week.
Joe, it is reality TV.
I mean, Great British Bake Off is hardly reality TV. It's more like a game show than anything else.
Oh yeah, cool. Fair enough. True. All right. In my case, I continue Gen V. Episode 4 came out of Gen V. Still going. Sorry, episode 5 now. Episode 5, yeah. Still going strong. That's a very, very good series. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of the boys, you shouldn't be missing out on Gen V. Nice little twist as well at the end of episode 5, which really pushed the pace of the story forward. So very good stuff there. I obviously watched Fall of the House of the Fall of the House of Usher, which we'll be reviewing later on. Watched the first 2 episodes of Lessons in Chemistry, which we'll review as well. Watched The Burial with my family. It was a good time. We'll review that as well. And I spent most of my time this weekend actually playing, because this weekend, I know you guys don't care about this, but the Modern Warfare 3 beta came out for Call of Duty, and I spent most of my time getting destroyed on Call of Duty, because damn, I don't know what happened. I usually do really well on COD. I'm not a bad player at all, but I think it was like the skill-based matchmaking was really tight in this beta, because damn, the players I was facing were really good. Like, I'm 30 now. I can't keep up with the 16, 17-year-olds on COD anymore. Like, give me the dads again. I need the 40-year-old dads on their 55-inch, big screens, eating chips whilst playing on their I need those players on the game again, because I can't keep up with the crazy 16-year-olds zoomers. But yeah, overall, I think it's a decent upgrade to the Modern Warfare 2 we got last year, which was quite bad, pretty bad. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year for Call of Duty. We'll see. Probably in a few months' time, you'll hear me complain here about that. That was pretty much my week. So, shall we get into the trailers, guys? Because this week on the Adler podcast, as our viewers and listeners know, we talk about movies, we talk about series, and we talk about video games. We've got a few trailers to talk about. We're just going to have a quick look at actually one Netflix series. We've got Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is an interesting animated movie series. Actually, I don't know if it's a movie or a series. I believe it is.
I believe it's a series.
Yes, it's a series. It's a series. Then we've got Monarch Legacy of the Gods, of Monsters, sorry, which is a really interesting looking series. The CGI on that looks crazy. We'll talk about it in a bit. We've got Wonka. I'd like to hear Francesca's interesting takes on that. I'd like to see what she thinks about Timothée Chalamet on that role. And finally, another Netflix series, Bodies, which looks interesting, and I have some thoughts about it as well. Then we're going to get into the news after that. Some SAG AFTRA talks, which were unfortunately suspended with AMPTP. Lots of stuff to say there. I've got a little interesting tidbit. Actually, I didn't mention this to you guys about a particular movie which was shown in a school in America, in Miami. I'll get into that when we start the news. So also, we'll have a look at what's going on with that Daredevil remake. We've always had question marks about that Daredevil remake. We'll discuss it. And finally, some very unfortunate news with alleged abuse for actor Brian Foster by our beloved Last of Us star Ashley Johnson. So we'll get into all of that in a little bit. Finally, we've got our reviews. Joe will give us his review of All of Us Strangers. Really looking forward to that. Then we have The Fall of the House of Usher. We've got Lessons in Chemistry. And finally, we've got The Burial. That's right. I've covered everything there. So let's get into it. Starting off with the trailers. And we have trailer number 1, our Scott Pilgrim trailer. Yella, let us know if you're watching this live in the comment section below. Give us your opinion. You're the expert here. Tell us what you think about this trailer. Guys, I don't know if you've watched this trailer. Don't know if you have any opinions on it. Francesca.
The trailer I haven't watched, but I just did a quick Google search and I'm seeing that Kieran Culkin is one of the voices, so I'm absolutely sold. I now have a massive crush on him since Succession.
Isn't the voice cast the same as the cast from the live action?
Mm-hmm. Same exact cast. Yeah. Same exact cast.
I haven't actually seen the live action
looking at the whole cast.
It's pretty good, if a little strange. I was never a fan of the Scott Pilgrim comics. I was never exposed to them, but it's endearingly weird.
I mean, this cast is insane. Kieran Culkin, Anna Kendrick, Aubrey Plaza, Brie Larson, Johnny Simmons, Ellen Wong. Directed by Edgar Wright, so same director as well. I mean, it's pretty much everyone who worked in the original Scott Pilgrim live action movie are back to do this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, Michael Cera, Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah. So we've got everyone is back. Everyone is back. It's going to be an interesting one. Huh? What do you think about the animation style, guys?
I was about to mention it's intriguing. I mean, to be honest, I have this very weird thing with anime, right? So I never watched anime while growing up. So I'm a bit picky when it comes to animation styles, and this looks like a cross between the cartoons I'm used to and anime, and it's intriguing.
By the way, guys, mention Scott Pilgrim and Yella appears in the chat. Hello, Yella. Yes, she confirmed that all the original voice cast are back. Yes. Francesca, I don't know if you've ever been unlike Joe, you've been exposed to the comics, the Scott Pilgrim comics. I haven't, but as far as I know, the animation style is very, very similar to the comics. Like
Yeah.
they went for
It
the
looks
same.
it looks exactly like the comics. Like
Yeah. That's confirmed. I think this looks like a real love letter to the comics, like one for the fans. Again, I'm not too big into the comics as well, but I enjoy. I'm trying to remember if I watched the movie or not. I really can't.
it was a while ago. Like even I only watched it once, and it was like just after it came out. So
It came
it was
out in
ages
2010.
ago. 2010.
They were
How
the
old was I?
kids.
That's a long time ago.
But I also,
I
when you
still
were
went to Portugal in
scrolling through,
2010.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
I was 16. Christ.
gee,
Yeah.
while you were scrolling through, I saw that there's Edgar Wright involved as well. So that's another good reason
Yeah,
to
he's
check it out.
a producer on it.
I like the style though. It's like one of those, arcadey video games, Joe.
Yeah.
The animation is by the same studio that did Devilman Crybaby. It's gonna be
Oh,
good.
they're very big. Yeah. Devilman Crybaby.
So yeah, confirmed by Ella that this is going to be an excellent animated series. This is Netflix, right? Yeah, this is Netflix. So we'll get the whole thing together. Man, I hate this. The more like the way I had to rush watching Fall of the House of Usher. Like I hate like being forced to watch like 8 episodes one after each other and rush through them. I wish I could just like watch one episode every week and just really, watch it calmly and then just enjoy it. I can't stand it. The more time passes, the more I hate the Netflix style. Like I was so happy to watch just like 2 episodes of Lessons in Chemistry and enjoy them calmly Sunday evening, and just be excited to watch it the next episode next week. Like I can't deal with this Netflix release style anymore. Don't know about you guys. What do you think about that?
You mean you're preaching to the
It's
choir
helpful.
here? With me?
Sorry, what do you say, Joe?
So with me, he's preaching to the choir. I love the once a week thing.
I think I agree for the most part, especially if it's something that's I'm really excited for, or something that's quite heavy, like Lessons in Chemistry. I've enjoyed the Netflix style when I feel like binging.
When you're
But I
sick.
think yeah, exactly. But I was sick a lot in the past year, so that happened quite a lot. But yeah, no, for the most part. To be honest, I don't think I followed all that many Netflix series as they were coming out, if you know what I mean. So I don't think it particularly impacted me. But yeah, no, for sure. It's quite a bit of pressure to try and watch everything over like one weekend or something.
And I'm just gonna say this, like Joe, you've watched 2 episodes, right, of Fall of the House of Usher. Like imagine watching episode 2, stopping there and having to wait a week for the next episode. Like
exactly.
that's great. That's great. Like you've got
It'll be
people
fun.
discussing, oh my god, what the hell just happened in episode 2? I'm so excited to watch the next episode. But I mean, you can just play next and just watch the next episode, which for me personally like ruins the hype a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the Netflix side. Right? Moving on, guys, to this. I can't believe this is a series. I don't know if you've watched the trailer, guys, but I really cannot comprehend like the amount of money. This is Apple TV. The amount of money Apple TV are throwing at this series and picking up the Monsterverse world and finally giving us a good Monsterverse world. Like this is what Universal that was Universal, right, Joe? The Monsterverse.
I think so.
The one with Tom Cruise and
but that's
the Mummy.
That's a different Monsterverse, though.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah,
all right.
that's
oh.
that would be
mixing
like
up the
that would be like
monster.
the Mummy and the Wolfman and the Invisible Man.
Oh, okay.
This is like
Yeah,
King Kong and
This
stuff
is-
like that.
Is that
many
like
verses
Godzilla
going
versus
on in the
Kong?
world. Too many verses going on. I can't.
This is Warner Brothers, I think.
But it is.
No,
No, it's Apple TV.
Godzilla versus
producing
Kong
it.
one.
Yeah, I believe those might have been more than one. I don't even know. I hate those movies. So
Not.
Did you guys watch the last one? The last one which released
Godzilla
it
versus
was during COVID. Yeah.
yeah, it sucked.
I don't think I did. No.
How do you get a movie where two iconic monsters fight each other and it's boring? You know why? Because studio execs are convinced, you know what? The people on the ground need to have an emotional and deep story.
Oh, I can't stand
Well,
that.
no,
I can't
give
stand
me
that.
a tight 80 minutes of monsters fucking each other up, and I'm happy.
Exactly. By the way, guys, Heat agrees with us that yes, the fall of the House of Usher is best viewed gradually rather than binging it over a weekend, which I agree completely, 100%, 100%, Keith. So, having a look at this trailer, it looks like a very, very, very expensive series. And we're talking about Apple TV. They have a lot of money to throw at this stuff. But I still cannot comprehend, number one, how good the CGI is for a series. And like the final scene, this final scene, I'm just going to play it. Hopefully, Apple don't block this, this podcast. Like this final scene, to be fair, looks I'm just gonna pause it so that the Apple like feelers aren't catching us playing the whole trailer. Like this scene, I mean, for a series, guys, we have to be honest. This looks bloody great. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, no,
Francesca?
I mean, it looks beautiful. I mean, to be honest, it's still, I mean, I would watch it for scenes like this, but usually the writing of these kind of films tends to bug me a bit, where people say things that people don't usually say in real life. To be fair, we don't see creatures like this in real life either, but I would kind of give it a try for some easy watching, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's not something I would tend to go for myself.
No, I don't think I'm like, I'll be watching this every week. Oh my God, I'm so excited. But I mean, considering the quality of the visuals here, the amount of money I'm guessing Apple have thrown at this, I think it's worth a watch. Just have an idea of what's going on. One last thing I wanted to mention was, what was I going to mention about this? The Godzilla stuff, like Joe said, you've always got the problem where I don't know why a lot of creators are fixated with focusing almost completely on the people when we just don't care. We don't care about what people are feeling or we want to see Godzilla fighting with other monsters, whether it's Kong or whether it's other cool looking monsters. That's what we want. Now, to be fair, monsters cost a lot of money because that's very expensive CGI. So I get that you can't always have Godzilla on the screen destroying stuff, right? So at the same time, I
Equally, the
understand,
film is called Godzilla.
Yeah.
Just like
Legacy
this is
of
called
Monsters.
Legacy of Monsters. So if I get less than 50% of the screen time, Monsters, I'm a bit false advertising there.
I'm gonna go out on a whim here and maybe get us some hate mail as I normally do with these things.
Oh no.
And it's funny because I normally end up being right. So there's just that. But
Watch the chat going
I'm
crazy.
gonna go out on a whim here and say that this TV show is mostly going to be, because Monarch is this like the organization that detects the monsters. So it's gonna be like either like they're continuing or like their early days and stuff. It's gonna be mostly bullshit human drama, and then there's gonna be a little bit of like sprinkling, like a little salt bay of like monsters in there. From
what we watched in the trailer, basically.
Yes.
Oh no.
And again, always happy to be proven wrong. The thing I'm saying recently at the moment is this could be the best movie ever made. This could be the best TV show ever made. I don't know, but prove me wrong.
Oh, coming quite soon, Astra. Friday, November 17, with 2 episodes, followed by 1 episode every Friday through January 12th.
Quite soon.
So coming quite soon. Quite soon. So we'll see. We'll discuss it when it comes out. That'll be an interesting review. And Joe can tell us, I told you so. Me and Joe have already talked about the upcoming Wonka movie. A new trailer is out, so viewers and listeners, you can go and check it out. Obviously, I can't play the whole trailer, but I want to hear, Francesca, your take. What do you think about the upcoming Timothée Chalamet Wonka movie?
It's funny. So earlier when you were saying like I want to hear what Fran thinks about Timothée Chalamet, I thought you were just going to stop there and then very very easily summarized into one word, which is like hot or beautiful, or but no, it looks fun. To be honest, I think I'm mostly rather than Timothée Chalamet, who I mean, he looks fine. I mean, it looks like it might suit him as a role. But really, it's Hugh Grant. Like from the trailer, I can't remember if it was in this trailer or the previous one where there were a couple of quite funny Hugh Grant moments. When he's lying in a deck chair and
I think it's this scene.
yeah, that bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that is what appealed to me. With these things, I always get a bit frustrated when they're a bit. I mean, I know it's a children's story, don't get me wrong, but when it's a bit too child friendly, because ultimately, I would hope to see a dark side to Wonka, given that in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a bunch of children are killed in his factory and he doesn't seem to care or seems happy about it. So I would hope to see some kind of dark side come out, but maybe that's just me.
I doubt there'll be a dark side to this because this seems like to be like Wonka at a very young
this has
age.
songs in it. Like
It's a musical, Charlie and the Chocolate
right?
Factory.
Yes, but those are like demented songs, though. It's different. And also, you had Gene Wilder in that, who was definitely capable of being a full-time sociopath. Like,
well, I would imagine Timothée Chalamet being capable of that as well.
No.
But it does look like, I mean, the cast looks good. Let's face it. I mean, I'm always a bit wary of films that have all of the best actors or most of the best actors. Like when I saw Olivia Colman, I'm like, okay, I'll just watch it because she's in it, and it's been nice to see Rowan Atkinson again as well. So I will keep my expectations safely low and go and see what they've made of it.
Yeah, Joe, because you mentioned, you don't think Chalamet can do like crazy, right? Like crazy demented. That's the one thing I'm a little worried about here. I think we mentioned this when we talked about it. Like, can Chalamet really like bring out the craziness of Wonka, the way we've seen previous actors do?
He's just not like, he doesn't have that like air of whimsy about him. Like even from what I've seen in the trailer, the lines he's saying, I'm getting the impression of like that's just Timothée Chalamet saying these lines.
I guess
I agree.
It doesn't feel like a performance or like a transformation into anything.
Yes.
I agree.
I guess what you mean.
The line delivery is the thing that worries me a little bit, especially from, I don't know about you guys, but the line delivery just wasn't convincing me at all. Like something felt off about it. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see, because they might be just poorly edited or whatever. I'm a little worried. Like production design wise, it looks great, looks creative, fun for the kids and for the family. But stuff, and I'm a big Chalamet fan. Like I'm a massive
Same
Chalamet fan.
And I don't know if would be speaking about his talent to do stuff, although obviously he's still young as well, so there's always going to be a certain limit to his depth. But that, I mean, I believe in, I don't know, what was it? Call Me by Your Name. I felt like he showed quite a lot of maturity in his acting, and I think maybe that to get that level of craziness, or I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, I would still want to see something go wrong in this film. If you get my if you catch my drift, it's kind of like
I'm sure something will go wrong. I don't know how wrong though. Like
to
will
see.
It be like,
hopefully, it just won't be a
dead
2D
kids
thing.
wrong. I don't think it will be dead kids wrong, but we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us. And moving on to lots of dead people. in Bodies, the final trailer we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to introduce this really quickly because I'm sure most of our viewers and listeners haven't heard of this, which is the issue with many Netflix releases nowadays. Based on the mind-bending graphic novel by Cy Spencer, Bodies is a police procedural with a twist. When a body, the same body, is found on Long Harvest Lane in London East End in 1819, 1941, 2023, and 2053. One detective from each period must investigate. That's the main concept here, right? I feel like we've watched something like this in the past. I don't know if I'm going crazy, if we've seen this concept explored before. But basically, murders being linked to past, present, and future. What caught my attention is Stephen Graham. I'll watch anything with Stephen Graham in it. He's one of the best actors alive right now. I can watch anything with him. So that's what caught my interest. The production design also does not look awful. For a Netflix series, it looks okay. You've got some World War II elements in it as well. Last week we were talking about a World War II series as well, and the futuristic elements as well. It's like a nice little mixture. Guys, don't know if you watched the trailer. If you have any opinions about this, is it one you'll be interested in watching, or just another one tossed into the Netflix garbage bin?
I mean, I get interested.
Like you, go for it, Joe.
Oh, sorry. I get interested immediately when I see Stephen Graham in anything, so that's already a big hook for me. In my opinion, he's one of the most underrated actors ever. Just to this day, he's fantastic in every single role he takes. He's always compelling. So having him in it is a big plus. And it seems that the premise is quite unique for one of these kinds of things. It's not your typical just crime caper, solve the mystery kind of thing. So I'm fairly interested in it so far. I just hope it doesn't Netflix itself.
Yeah.
Fran. Someone else who caught my interest aside from Stephen Graham, and I totally agree with what both of you said. I had to look up her name because I just recognized her face immediately from the trailer, but I forgot her name. Shira Has. It's H with a double A S. And she was in Unorthodox, which I believe was also a Netflix series. It's about this Jewish Orthodox family, and there's the girl in this family, and that's her. And this essentially she decides to escape, because she's being forced into this arranged marriage, and she was fascinating. She was amazing. Her acting was so understated and it's beautiful. Really, such a joy to watch. So I'm equally excited to watch her, honestly. One thing,
lots of Emmys as well. Anyway,
no, she did such a good job, honestly. One thing, and allow me to be maybe a bit picky here, but one thing that bothered me in the trailer is that some voiceover is saying, this will blow your mind, and it's obviously someone talking.
Oh my god!
And then I was just like, maybe it will, but maybe don't put up my expectations so much because then it might very well not blow my mind. So why are you doing this?
Did you notice that scene, Fran, when they say it will blow your mind and you literally see someone's mind being blown? Mind being blown, but the edit.
I found it a bit cringe, to be honest. Yes, I was a bit like, guys.
It will blow your mind. And then you see this, boom. That was a bit cringe-worthy watching it, yes.
Yeah, this kind of... So yeah, no, I mean, it's fine. I mean, but I'm quite intrigued, to be honest. I don't think I've ever watched anything with this kind of premise before, so...
oh, wow, this comes out on Thursday.
Oh,
literally this Thursday, 19th. So
nice.
That's one for the reviews next week, then, I guess. So how does Netflix release a trailer 3 days before it's coming out?
That's quite weird.
I think Netflix just forget about most of the stuff that's coming out. They literally forget. Oh my god, it's coming out in 3 days. Edit a trailer really quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Release it. Put it out now.
Tell them it will blow their minds.
I put up posts about the next episode of the podcast at least 3 days before. I mean, let alone Netflix 3 days before they're.
It's the first trailer, I presume, right?
It seems like it. Usually there's trailer 2 next to it.
Yeah. So funny.
Jesus. I mean, Netflix is. I mean, it's
Where did you go?
Netflix, right?
Wow.
They've got so much content, and the sad thing is, so much good content is lost in like cacophony of series and movies. And I'll
That's
talk
true.
about a movie later on. We're going to review it, which I'm scared about it being lost in the cacophony of content, because now it's all about content, right? But
Apparently.
that's
dirty
all
word.
with regard to trailers today, guys. So, viewers and listeners, let us know in the comment section below any of these trailers which have piqued your interest. Let us know if you're interested in any of these. Moving on to the news, and I was just going to mention this, guys. It's a little funny little tidbit, news bit from Miami. So apparently, because I'm a teacher, right? And apparently, a teacher in K-12 charter school in Miami showed their students from 20 to 30 minutes of a movie called Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood. Now, I believe, Joe, we've mentioned this movie in the past. Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it's just a Winnie the Pooh movie, right? But for anyone who has no idea what movie we're talking about here, Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood is actually a horror. It's actually a pretty bad movie. I haven't watched it, but I've just watched a few clips, and looking at the clips, they looked awful. But it's actually not about the real Winnie the Pooh. It's actually a slasher movie with people who dress up as Winnie the Pooh. so apparently, I have no idea how the teacher actually showed this for 20 to 30 minutes, because if I mean, scene number one, I'd be like, okay, this is not for kids. Yep. Forget this ever happened. But the teacher actually showed them 20 to 30 minutes of this. He didn't stop the movie, even though there were kids saying, hey, stop the movie. We don't want to watch this. Said Diaz. Francesca.
I'm a bit confused because it says that it was a math teacher, and I'm wondering how that came into the curriculum.
Yeah, that's another weird thing. Like, what are they doing? Counting how many murders take place?
Because I'm all about
movie, like, count the dead people.
I'm all about kind of weaving film into learning. Don't get me wrong. Like when I was teaching last year, I was constantly like showing them bits of films and trailers. I mean, I was teaching English, so it was easy to find relevant stuff. But I'm struggling to see how this is relevant. Maybe they just wanted to teach them the about what life is going to look like.
Joe, do you think we should be showing kids Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood?
Absolutely.
Or maybe a better slasher movie, no?
We should just show them all slasher movies.
Yeah, go for it. That's my lesson plan for tomorrow. Show them what good slasher movie shall I be showing them? Maybe the original Scream?
No.
That'd be fun.
Go with the OG slasher that invented it all. Go with Halloween.
Fair enough. True. That's a nice one. That'd be an interesting meeting with my headmaster after. But Fran, because you mentioned like using film in to teach, like there are many ways which you can use film to teach. Like I find it fascinating the way you can use film to teach. I have a lot of lesson plans where I use I have one where I teach descriptive language. I give them the opening of The Hobbit. I give students the opening of The Hobbit, opening for a couple of pages, show them the scene, get them to come up with descriptive words as they're inspired from the scene from The Hobbit, and then obviously we read the passage, look at the other descriptive words, and so that's one of the more interesting grammar lessons I have. So you can use film to teach a lot, especially in English. English is like the perfect subject for that.
For sure.
But again, I don't see how Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Honey and Blood has anything to do with math.
If I was in your class, Andrea, I'd write just the one line for The Hobbit. I'd just say, not as good as Lord of the Rings.
I was going to say an interesting exercise with The Hobbit you can do is you can show kids the book, The Hobbit, and like how descriptive it is, and like the language, like how it paints a picture. And then you can show them the films and how fucking bad they are.
Nice.
The opening scene is fine. The opening scene is fine. Come on. The opening scene is fine. It's just like Lord of the Rings.
Let them
Like the weird 3D stuff.
let them read to the part where they get to Mirkwood in the book, and it's like really descriptive and eerie and stuff like that. And then show them the start of the second film and like how none of it is in there. Instead, there's a fucking dumbass love triangle subplot between a dwarf and an elf, and then they go down a river in fucking barrels and stuff, and just good decisions.
Yeah.
How to ruin a book.
How to ruin the writing for that. Let's not get into it. So, moving on from a funny story to a rather insidious and worrying story, because The Last of Us star Ashley Johnson and 6 other women allege sexual and physical abuse by Brian Foster. If you think you've seen this person before, you have. Ashley Johnson, you might have seen her or heard her in The Last of Us video game. She was the lovely actress who voice acted in The Last of Us. Getting into it, The Last of Us star Ashley Johnson, who voices the protagonist Ellie in the popular PlayStation video game series, has filed a lawsuit against Brian Foster, her ex-boyfriend and a former fellow cast member of the Dungeons and Dragons themed web series Critical Role, alleging physical and sexual violence as well as mental and emotional abuse. Lawsuit filed in Los Angeles Superior Court on Tuesday features a total of 6 named female plaintiffs, including Johnson and 1 anonymized female plaintiff. Complaint accuses Foster of domestic violence, sexual battery, assault, stalking, civil rights violations, gender violence, and the intentional infliction of emotional distress. Allegations stem from behavior over the last decade and cite Foster's chronic abuse of drugs and alcohol as fuel for a disturbing pattern and practice of chilling and depraved behavior towards women. This sounds bad.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, don't know if anyone here has ever heard of this series, Critical Role.
I have, yeah. My friends are quite big into it because they're Dungeons and Dragons nerds.
Is it like actual Dungeons and Dragons or
it's
adaptation?
It's a bunch of voice actors that get together to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like you follow their campaign as it goes. It's quite like interesting, really. And Ashley Johnson has appeared on it numerous times. I forget her name, but the actress that played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2 is a big part of that. So all just very talented voice actors work on it. The main guy is Matt Mercer.
Okay.
Who's the head of that?
Okay. So unfortunate news here. Fran, I don't know if you want to add something.
No, to be honest, I'm not all too familiar with him either. His face does look familiar, to be honest, but even when I looked him up earlier, he wasn't in anything that's... or he's a writer primarily, I believe, right?
Oh, I don't know anything about him. Like, I just know he was on the series. I don't know about him.
Yeah, no.
Another one, I think, right?
Yeah, and I think it's... in a way, I'm glad that people are finding it easier to speak out about these things. When we say another one, it's sad. Obviously, it's sad because it happened, but it's good that people are speaking out because this stuff has been happening since. So, although it seems like it's happening more now, it's not happening more now. People are just talking about it more, which is moving in a better direction, I suppose.
By the way, guys, because Yella let us know in the chat, apparently Legend of Vox Machina is also based on Critical Role. So don't know if anyone here has watched Legend of Vox Machina. It's an animated series on Prime, which looks really good. I haven't watched this. Yella, is it good? It looks right up my alley, to be honest. I'm just looking at a quick clip here on my screen. This looks really good. The Legend.
Oh yeah, it's Matt Mercer, Ashley Johnson, so it's a lot of the Critical Role cast. Laura Bailey, she's the one that played Abby.
Looks really good. Them. I was watching a clip. This is available on Amazon Prime, I think I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, 8.4 on IMDb. So there we go, on Amazon Prime. Oh, this is one this is one I'll definitely be watching. One to go onto my list. Based on Critical Role, yeah, exactly. Hopefully he's not on this though. Hopefully. Anyways, so unfortunate news there. Yes, especially if you finished Baldur's Gate. Yes, Yella, I have finished Baldur's Gate. I almost cried finishing Baldur's Gate. It was such a good game. I'm so really can't wait for them to bring in crossplay so I can play with my friends on PlayStation, because I can't imagine how fun the Baldur's Gate campaign is with playing it with friends, because I played it on my own, unfortunately, because no one else plays on PC. Moving on, guys. Some other unfortunate news. Although a couple of weeks ago we had the very good news of the Writers Guild finally reaching an agreement with the AMPTP. The same cannot be said with SAG AFTRA, because last Wednesday, I believe, which is when we recorded our last episode, so we missed the news just with a few hours. Wednesday night, the SAG AFTRA released, after meaningful conversations, it's clear that the gap between AMPTP and SAG AFTRA is too great, and conversations are no longer moving us in a productive direction. Very unfortunate. Having a look at, I'm not going to go into detail about all this, because here I have the general news there. I have the reaction by the actors and the reaction by AMPTP. But long story short, basically, AMPTP are claiming that the actors are not being realistic at all, and that the levy for SAG AFTRA to get like 800 million a year. They said if they put in the regulations that SAG AFTRA wanted, that would mean like something like 800 million a year going to actors instead of to producers. I don't know how realistic that number is. That's of course AMPTP talking. Basically, actors receiving streaming dues. More long story short. On the other hand, the Actors Guild said that, listen, they're trying to bully us. They're basically saying false stuff. It's and here's the news, by the way, that I was talking about, the 800 million a year, and they're trying to bully us into accepting an inferior deal. It's all very complicated. We don't have the time to go into it in detail on the podcast. But guys, don't know if you want to add anything to this news story, Francesca. I don't know if we've talked about the SAG AFTRA strike before.
I don't think so. No, although feels like it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Honestly, I tip my hat to them, because it must be. And I was seeing in some of the articles, they kind of point out how, as actors, it's already in their nature to kind of, what's the word? Be kind of. They're used to living with a certain level of insecurity, because you don't know when the next job's gonna come.
Yeah.
They usually don't get more than a couple of gigs a year, and essentially, from what I can understand, it's the revenue from theaters, which is what keeps them going in between gigs. And with streaming, they're not getting any of that. So
Yeah. That's the crunch,
it's
right? That's like the
yeah.
big battle. Will actors be able to receive something from streaming, not
I,
just like the lump
I
sum, one sum?
I don't even know why it's a question that we're asking, honestly. I mean, of course, you know. Yes, let's discuss, or well, let them discuss how and what exactly. But I can't believe it's had to reach this point, you know. So, and I'm sure it must be really uncomfortable for them at this point, because to fight for what they deserve, they're foregoing even more opportunities right now. They've been, what, about 3 months? I think it's been
3 months.
about
I think
90
it's been 3
days.
months now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's around 90 days. So it's stressful, not knowing when your next paycheck's gonna come. So
Yep.
full solidarity, honestly.
And the AI stuff, I saw an article about it as well. Malta was mentioned, obviously, because of Gladiator
Mhm.
2. Because a
Mhm.
lot of actors, a lot of the supporting actors, smaller actors in it, claimed that they were scanned, and
Mhm.
they were scanned. So that's Another big issue here. Joe,
Yeah.
don't know if you want to add anything about this.
I don't really have anything to add, which I haven't said already, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go. After 90 days of strike,
Mhm.
and obviously actors reacting to it, and obviously very disappointed. They're still obviously still on the picket line, still fighting outside the big studios. I mean, there seems to be no end to this. There seems to
Yeah.
be no end to this, and obviously we've got the big guys, the CEOs of Netflix, of Amazon, of Warner Brothers, of Iger, David Zaslav, and the rest, who are all claiming that the actors are being too demanding. I find it quite ridiculous, to be honest. I find it quite ridiculous hearing what they had to say. Because I think if you are on a show and that show keeps on making money, you should also keep on making money. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's
Exactly.
the most obvious thing ever. Like you said, Fran, I don't get how this is even a question mark, but
Mhm.
seems to be. Moving on to Daredevil. So, Fran, were you on the show when we last talked about Daredevil? I feel like you were.
Um, I remember there was a
The
point
first
when we
time we mentioned
mentioned
the
Daredevil.
remake.
I remember at some point
I
talking
feel
about
like we
Daredevil.
discussed
I
this
don't
with you.
know. I don't know if it was the time, but we had definitely mentioned Daredevil at some point because I remember saying how much
Anyways,
I had enjoyed the adult version.
yeah, yeah. Everything we mentioned, forget it. Why? Because Marvel have decided to scrap everything. It didn't take long to see the problem after Marvel Studios' Daredevil Born Again post-production in mid-June during the writer's strike. Fewer than half of the series' 18 episodes had been shot, but it was enough for Marvel executives, including Chief Kevin Feige, to review the footage and come away with a clear-eyed assessment. The show wasn't working. So in late September, Marvel quietly let go of head writers Chris Ward and Matt Corman, and also released the directors for the remainder of the season as part of a significant creative reboot of the series. Hollywood Reporter has learned studio is now on the hunt for new writers and directors for the project, which stars Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer turned superhero. And then this whole article goes into like all the Marvel TV shows, right? Are they a success or not? Looking at the viewing in minutes, Loki is number one with 5.2 billion views, and I get it why it's a good series. WandaVision, which is in my opinion above and beyond all of them, is at 4.8, also good. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I did not like, is at 4.2 billion. And then we keep on going down and down. She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, Secret Invasion, What If, and Miss Marvel. To be honest, Miss Marvel really doesn't deserve to be that low with regard to views, because I thought it was a fun little series. I enjoyed it. One of my more favorite series from most of these, which I dislike. What If I disliked. Secret Invasion I disliked. Hawkeye was okay. Moon Knight started great, finished pretty bad. She-Hulk I hated. Falcon and the Winter Soldier I disliked. So yeah, pretty much most of the stuff I disliked. So the idea here is that Marvel have recognized that, listen, the quality is really going down. So they're trying to make changes. Lots of waste of money as well. Like, launched during the pandemic with a playbook to shoot 150 million plus seasons with no pilots. The Disney unit is undergoing growing pains and seeing the logic of traditional TV culture. Joe, now is your moment to shine.
You know what? I'm going to take a back seat on this one. The article speaks for itself. It's again. I just keep being right about things. You know, I can't help it, and I won't gloat. I won't be cocky. But do I care about Daredevil possibly being in trouble and like not coming to our screens? No, absolutely not. Because I had the old Netflix Daredevil show, which I liked. So frankly, for me, if Disney never gets to touch that, I'm like, okay, that's kind of a win in a way.
Fair enough.
So that's where I stand on it.
Fair enough. Francesca.
I'm in the same realm as Joe. All in all, I'm not a big fan of Marvel, as I have no problem making public. So I I get a slight sense of vindication with this kind of stuff. Not because I
Fran, have
want
you watched
them
any of the
to fail.
series?
No, to be honest, while you were going down the list, I did make a mental note. I do actually want to watch Loki and WandaVision because I have heard quite a lot of good stuff about them. I'll
Those are
try
the
them.
best. Loki and
I'll try
WandaVision.
them.
Those are the two best. The
Um,
rest you can skip. Hawkeye is fine. I don't know why Hawkeye gets so much hate. That was
mhm.
okay, fine, like 3 out of 5 series. Miss Marvel was
Is
actually fun. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5 when I reviewed it. It was a really fun series.
is that
The
Brie
first few episodes.
Larson?
No. That's
She's not.
Camilla. No, I
Okay,
don't know
no,
what's
I'm
her
mixing
name.
it up with someone
I
else.
forgot her name, but she's going to be in the next movie, the
Mm,
Marvels movie. She's going to be with Brie Larson,
okay,
coincidentally. So she'll be in the next movie, which is coming out in November. The next Marvels movie.
okay.
Um, but yeah, watch Loki. Loki season 2 is very good so far. Really good, really good. Watch WandaVision, very well made series. First, like opening 6-7 episodes were fantastic. Then it does fall into the bit of the Marvel trope, usual tropey stuff. But
Hmm.
overall, quality series, WandaVision. The rest, forget. I feel like I wasted a lot of hours watching these, which I could have spent watching The Empty Man.
Took the words right out
He
of my mouth.
admits it.
I do it. On the same streaming service as well, on Disney Plus.
Yep.
To make matters worse. So let's end the news segment here, guys. So, to our viewers and listeners, let us know in the comment section below. Have you watched any of these Marvel series? If so, let us know in the comment section below. Do you think there needs to be a change from Marvel with its direction with these series? A lot of these series, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, Secret Invasion, What If, they've not been successful at all. Very negative reviews as well. And as you can see with the viewership, it's all going down. Let us know in the comment section below. And now it's time for our reviews because we've got a couple of movies and a couple of series to review. Shall we start off with the movies, guys? Shall we start off, Joe, with All of Us Strangers?
Yes, I was going to actually request to start off with that because then I actually do need to leave after that, unfortunately.
Definitely.
'Cause I have things to do.
Give us like a quick
I will because
thought on Fall of the House of Usher then. No.
yeah, okay. Well, my thoughts on For the House of Usher so far. I think it is Mike Flanagan's greatest hit so far. He's brought back everyone that he's ever worked with. He's like working at his apex and moving the camera around like he likes to do. And I feel like he's going to tell, at least I've only seen 2 episodes so far, a very interesting tale about how much he hates billionaires. So I'm in. That's all I'll say about that. But I'll get on to All of Us Strangers. And this is one I am going to keep fairly brief. One I was really lucky enough to see yesterday because basically the Glasgow Film Theatre is part of the BFI Cinema Network. And when the BFI London Film Festival is going on, they get some films shown in Glasgow as well, just like in special, like one-off screenings. And this one was so popular, they decided to do 2 special screenings for All of Us Strangers, the new film from Andrew Haigh. So it's about a screenwriter drawn back to his childhood home, enters into a fledgling relationship with a mysterious neighbor, as he then discovers his parents appear to be living just as they were on the day they died 30 years before. I'm going to throw the question to you two first. Have you guys seen anything by Andrew Haigh before?
No.
Not yet. They're in the list. They're
okay. Well,
close, but not yet.
Before you watch All of Us Strangers, I highly recommend that you do. I mentioned in my review on Prickly Pears that I recently watched 45 Years, I think 2 weeks ago, by Andrew Haigh, a film with Charlotte Rampling and Tom Courtenay. And I haven't stopped thinking about it since. And it's just going to happen again now with All of Us Strangers, because he's got this really interesting thing, which he does in this film, which he did in 45 Years as well, where it's pretty heavy and sad subject matter and scenes, but it also feels like, in a way, like you're being like hugged or caressed, and there's like almost like a "you'll be okay" being whispered to you as you go through these things, and you go through them with the characters. And it's I don't know how to describe the feeling of it. Like, you can see like in the screenshot just there of Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott, who are both predictably fantastic. In my opinion, Andrew Scott, career best performance And Paul Mescal just keeps hammering home how good he is at seeming like he's this really kind of happy, charismatic guy with like a severe undercurrent of mental illness, which is extremely impressive. But there's these warm colors and this warm tone to everything. But then you're seeing these like sad things happen and you're experiencing them with the characters. And it's like, it's not a short film at 1 hour and 45, but it's not a long film as well. But it kind of keeps this like same pace throughout. There isn't like a part where like it like really speeds up and you feel like you're flying up on a roller coaster, you feel like you're coming down off something. For the whole film, it's just like just steady, just across the whole way. As I said, like as if you're being like hugged and just being like, look, it's going to be fine, we're going to get through it, kind of thing. And just the way he decides to tackle themes. So in the film 45 Years, that film is known as a ghost story. And I won't spoil anything about it, but it's interesting that that film is referred to as a ghost story. I would say the same about All of Us Strangers. It's in a way very much a ghost story, but it's tackling things like it's tackling grief, it's tackling loneliness, and it's tackling belonging and the kind of like the way those things really, really affect your life and the place that you feel you have in it. Like, as you can probably tell, I can talk about this film probably forever. Since I watched it yesterday, there probably hasn't been like an hour pass since then where I haven't thought back to a moment in this film. Like, I was sat there with my girlfriend at points crying my eyes out, like, it just admittedly. But I think it's really special. Like I said on Prickly Pears, so far, and I know that Killers of the Flower Moon is coming later this week, and I'm an absolute Scorsese nut, so it might overtake what I say by saying this is the film of the year so far. I think so far this is the best film I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, genuinely.
Okay.
Just in terms of what it's doing, how accomplished the director is, and just how unique it is and the ideas it decides to tackle. It's really special in my opinion.
Nice.
Can't
High
wait.
praise by Mr. Joe.
It's my first
wait.
5 out of 5 of the year.
Ostra.
Wow.
First one.
You didn't give Oppenheimer a 5 out of 5, Joe.
In terms of experience, yes, but it's like a total objective 5 out of 5. No.
Okay, interesting.
My experience of
All right.
Oppenheimer is a 5-star experience. And then if you tell me like, okay, objectively, how would you rate this film? No, there are problems in Oppenheimer. I love it dearly. I do love Oppenheimer. But
Fair enough.
in this, I look at this one, I just go like, I see nothing wrong here. And it actually is one as well. I don't think is going to work for everyone, but it really, really resonated with me.
Interesting.
But yeah, and
Okay.
with that is me for the show tonight because I have things to do, unfortunately.
All right, Joe.
But pleasure as always.
Thank you so much.
Even with our replacement Franco tonight, with Francesca, thank you as always for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Ciao,
Hey
man.
guys,
Joe.
enjoy the rest of the
Have a
show.
good one.
See you.
Man,
All right,
I
so that
cannot
is Joe
wait.
with his review of All of Us Strangers. Same here. I'm looking at my Letterboxd really quickly. Yeah, front.
Just like earlier
No,
when
I
we were
just-
talking about the Monarch film, and I was saying like this is not really my thing. All of Us Strangers is exactly my kind of thing, so I absolutely can't wait.
Yeah, agreed completely. About the 5 out of 5 thing, I'm looking at my list from 2023. I only have Oppenheimer on my list. Only movie I gave a 5. Oppenheimer, exactly, because Barbie I gave a 4 out of 5, 4.5. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 4.5, Air 4.5, Mission Impossible 4.5, Guardians 4.5, No One Will Save You 4.5, and then Force. Well, that's the only 5. So maybe All of Us Strangers will be my second 5. Or maybe Killers of the Flower Moon.
Surprise
Who knows?
child. Are you there? Are you back?
Sorry, Fran?
We lost you there for a little bit.
Oh, I disconnected.
I think so, yeah. For
Oh.
maybe a few seconds there.
No, I was just mentioning a bunch of movies.
Oh shit.
Which
I'm
didn't get a
afraid you're
5
gonna
out
have to
of 5.
mention them all
Oppenheimer was
again.
the only one. So I gave a 5 out of 5 only to Oppenheimer, because then the rest,
Oh,
Barbie,
wow.
Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, Air, Mission Impossible, those all got 4.5s. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, No One Will Save You, those got the 4.5s from me. Rest are fours. Yeah, fours basically, and trees. Moving on, I'll just give
Hmm.
my quick review for another movie, which I got to watch this time on streaming, available on Amazon Prime. I believe I watched it on Amazon Prime. At this point, to be honest with you, all the streaming services just like melded into one.
Right.
And this is the movie, Fran, I was talking about when I
Hmm.
mentioned I'm scared it's going to be lost on like
Okay.
streaming services,
Hmm.
because
Hmm. Hmm.
this is a bloody good movie. This is a really good movie. I don't know if you are a fan of the like 90s dad movies where you've got a really fun court case and you've got this really charismatic lawyer who takes on the big corporation and wants to defeat the big corporation. One of those
I've seen
really
a
good
couple.
dad movies.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly that. This is exactly that. This is just such a fun, feel good movie. Watching this movie makes you feel good. And actually literally saying feel good in the movie. No, jokes aside, I highly recommend this to our viewers and listeners. Please, if you have Amazon Prime Video, go and watch it. It's a very good legal drama film. Well shot, well directed, well acted. The cast is stacked. I mean, I'm just looking at the cast here, really stacked. Alan Ruck from Succession, Jamie Foxx. For me, this is uh, an Academy Award nomination worthy
Oh
performance.
wow.
It's that good. Yeah, he's that good in my opinion. He's super charismatic, dominates the screen, and like I said, like I can't say the word fun enough because this is just a really fun movie. To give just like a quick story about what it's about. It's basically loosely based on the true story of lawyer Willie E. Gary and his client Jeremiah Joseph O'Keefe,
Hmm.
who basically brought a lawsuit against the Law and Funeral Company. This is based on the article from the New Yorker, 1999 article, with the same name, The Burial. Um, it stars, like I said, Jamie Foxx as Gary. We've got Tommy Lee Jones as O'Keefe, Journey Smollett, Mamadou Ati, and Bill Camp, amongst the other very stacked cast. Um, Willie Gary is an interesting personality. He actually has a YouTube channel now as well. This lawyer, whom
Okay.
Jamie Foxx is acting as, he actually has a YouTube channel. And I checked the YouTube channel, and you can tell he's one of those like really positive vibes guys who
Okay.
who
All right.
just
I know the
hate
type.
corporations and want to take on corporations and defeat them. No, he's a
Right.
really really fun. And Jamie Foxx's interpretation of this really fun personality is is great. It's great stuff.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, crowd pleasing. I highly recommend this. And with regard to negatives, if I had to say, it's quite predictable. The story beats are. I saw the story beats coming like 5 minutes into the movie. I had already planned out the whole movie. I knew how it was going to be. It was exactly that. Um, what else is there to say with regard to negatives? I guess I can say the characters themselves, although they're very fun to watch, don't really get much of an arc. Like they're pretty much the same throughout. But overall, no, overall this is a very fun. Also, I'd say maybe sometimes the pacing is slightly bit off, maybe midway through. Like this is a movie which actually tackles quite a lot of like serious themes as well. As you can imagine, race is one of the biggest issues here. You've got big corporations, greed, and so on. And tackling these themes maybe sometimes gets slightly bogged down a little bit midway through the movie. But overall, this is a super fun movie. Go and watch it. It's available on Prime Video. Rating wise, between a 3.5 and a, I'll give this a 4 because it's really fun. It's really fun. So I'll give it a 4. Fun little movie. Go and watch it. Francesca,
Hmm.
you haven't watched Fall of the House of Usher, right?
I have not, but this morning when so I don't know about your morning routine, but when I wake up in the morning, I always, until I convince myself to get out of bed, I always have, a range of time where I kind of stay in bed and kind of like watch clips or I don't know trailers or anything that comes up on YouTube. And this morning it was a clip from the Fall of House of Usher, and it was the scene uh, where he's someone, and I don't know who the character is, but he's talking about when life hands you lemons. And that little monologue, I'm not sure if you know what Brit I'm talking
That was
about.
excellent. Yeah,
That
yeah,
little
it was
monologue
excellent.
was like, this is good writing. And it immediately, as soon as I see good writing,
Very
I'm
good writing.
immediately sold. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
this out. Because to be honest, when I
Yeah.
saw the trailer, I thought it was maybe a little too scary. Now
Eh,
I tend to like scary stuff. Like I fall over Ari Aster stuff. But I still get a bit, unsure until I gauge what kind of horror it is. Maybe you can help me out here. Like what kind of horror,
yeah,
like
I'll talk
how it's
about it
going to
now.
mess with my mind.
Yeah. I'll talk about it in my review. By the way, we've got some comments here. Tricien said that The Burial is a really wholesome movie, which I agree completely with. Very, very wholesome movie. And Keith mentioning that he really wants to watch The Burial because he enjoys these type of movies. Keith, this is like your classic dad movie, legal drama, charismatic lawyer, takes on corporations and just, yeah, you seeing a corporation. I mean, this actually happened, so there's no spoilers here, right? Obviously, the corporation is defeated. Like it wouldn't be a wholesome movie. It wasn't the corporation being defeated. So if you like those kinds of movies, The Burial is perfect for you. Burial is perfect for you. Talking about big corporations, Fall of the House of Usher. I didn't expect it to be focusing this much on like corporations and these greedy bloody corporations. It tackles this. There's a big focus on this element. I'd say Fall of the House of Usher is, what if you take Succession and add in these little tidbits of horror every now and then, have like fascinating, really evil kids of rich psychopaths. So have those like really fascinating characters, but add in little horror elements here and there. And I mean, it's. I don't think this is a spoiler to say that there are a lot of people who die in this, right? Because I mean,
I
you
assume.
see it in the trailer. You're introduced to this
Yeah.
literally in the opening on the opening first scene. And you see many of these real assholes, like real assholes, being brutally murdered. Most of the horror elements, Francesca, are pretty much that, seeing
Okay.
people being
That I can
brutally
deal with.
murdered.
Cool.
There's a lot of psychological stuff going on here as well. You've got the drug element. Obviously, here we've got a pharmaceutical company. We've got the drug elements here as well. There is one particular scene, though, that really scarred me, though. In the second episode, I'm not going to spoil it, by the way, viewers and listeners, but in the second episode, something happens at the end. My girlfriend was next to me watching it. Like, she's not watching the series with me. She was just sitting there and she's like, whoa, that happened. And I'm like, yeah, oh my God. This is why I said, Fran, at the start, this is why I said, like, imagine if, to Joe, I told him, imagine if you finish episode 2, you see this like horrifically gruesome scene. And then you're like, you have a whole week thinking about that like horrifically gruesome scene. And you've got a whole week talking to your friends like, oh my God, did you watch that? That was crazy. I can't wait to see the next episode. And then you watch the next episode. No, here obviously you've got the Netflix binge style. Anyways, so what about my thoughts about this? Do I think it's any good? Well, it's been getting rave reviews. Let's put it that way. Fall of the House of Usher has been getting rave reviews. It's at number 1 on IMDb as well with regard to popularity, so it's doing very well. I'm a big fan of Mike Flanagan. I'm a big fan of Mike Flanagan. Fran, I don't know if you've watched any of his stuff.
Nothing. I remember the time when The Haunting of, remind me the name, The
Of
Haunting
Hill House.
Hill House came out,
Hill House.
and at work everyone was talking about it. But that was my period of time in my life when I was absolutely avoiding horror at all costs. But I did hear it's good quality. It's not just cheap horror. I have
No,
heard
not cheap horror at all. Not cheap
So,
horror at all. By the way, interesting. Yella mentioned I'm 4 episodes in and I'm struggling to get into it for some reason. I think I know why. I'll mention this in my review now. Yella, I'll get into it in my review now. Fran, you're going to conclude your thoughts?
No,
Sorry.
that's pretty much it. No, but I am intrigued. with this for sure, and I might even go watch an episode once we're done here. So.
Hmm. Hmm. He also had, before I get into the review, he also had Midnight Mass, which was very, very
Mm.
good. That was an excellent series. Like Midnight Mass, just to show you. I think that'll rank amongst some of my favorite, one of my all-time favorite series. Like this was excellent stuff. This was so beautifully shot, so atmospheric, and the main performances were so good, so good, so good. This was a really good series. Um, the thing with Mike Flanagan's series is that they kind of sometimes are a tad bit too slow at times, and then you have like a big wow punch, gut
Mhm.
punching moment, which really gets you in. Like for me, that gut punching moment was the ending of episode 2. Like up to episode 2, I was like, is this really like? And I was thinking of Midnight Mass. However, I'm like, oh wait for the big gut punching moment, and the gut punching moment was episode 2. So yeah, I don't know what you think about that. Like for me, that big, yeah, this is a series I want to watch, was the ending of episode 2. I'm like, yes, that's really strong horror there. But to get to my review, because we've been dancing around the review, um, my thoughts on Fall of the House of Usher. I think it's a solid series. Do I think it's Mike Flanagan's best? I think I disagree with Joe. I don't think it's as good as Midnight Mass. I think Midnight Mass is up there, like I said, amongst the some of the best series I've ever watched. I don't think this is that good. Like I said at the start, I still have, I believe, 1 or 2 episodes to watch of All of the House of Usher. But so far, I'm really, really, really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Great performances, great cast of characters. You, like I said at the start, it's like imagine you've got Succession, and even the soundtrack sometimes reminds me of Succession. But that classical music. Um, Imagine Succession, like real assholes, real assholes, um, who are slaughtered, basically, all slaughtered. Um, the characters themselves are very interesting and diverse. I think that's one of the things I really liked about this, because I was scared that like the way this was going to work, like the characters would feel similar. Not at all. You have a real diverse cast of characters here. Um, and the series itself is a really good dive into like the life and privilege of the ultra rich. So then seeing them meet gruesome ends is very, very satisfying. I don't know if that's what the series wants to achieve. It wants us to feel like, oh yes, I enjoy watching, ultra rich, privileged people be brutally slaughtered. But I got quite a lot of satisfaction from that. The the deaths are fantastic. I have to say the deaths are fantastic in my opinion. Like I said, all the deaths so far have been very creative, very interesting. Um, I'd say thematically as well, this is a very interesting series. It gets a lot into like perversion. There's a lot of sex as well in this. Like the opening first few episodes had a lot of sex. Like again, my girlfriend was like not watching it, but just listening, sometimes listening to it, and like they're constantly talking about sex. And she's like, "Is this all the series is about?" I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't think it's all about sex." But no, what honestly, this is a very solid series. If you're a fan of horror, I highly recommend it. The series all comes together in the final episode. Oh, okay. So that's good to hear, Keith. So I'll give my thoughts on the final episode next week, obviously next week's episode. So overall, so far, I'm happy. I've been watching it. I'm looking forward to watch the last couple of episodes. I think it's a very solid series. I don't think it's Mike Flanagan's best. I think it's a very, very well produced, well done series. However, I'm looking forward. Mike Flanagan will be leaving Netflix now and moving on to Amazon now after this. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with Jeffrey Bezos's money in his pockets. So overall, as a rating, so I don't think I'll give this a rating. I'll give my final like rating in next week's like opening of our podcast, because I hate giving a rating to a series when I've just haven't watched the whole thing. But so far, very happy with it so far. So those are my thoughts on the Fall of the House of Usher. And to conclude, friend,
Mhm.
let's get into lessons in chemistry, which is one I was really, really looking forward to discuss with you.
Mhm. Yeah. I just
I
watched
watched this
the
yesterday.
mm, I just finished the second episode a little bit before we started, so it's still very fresh. What did you think?
So, being an expert, Fran, tell us a little bit what it's about, and then we'll get into our thoughts.
Okay, so essentially it's about this female chemist. Now, I'm already going to start maybe picking holes here a little bit. In the book, Elizabeth Zott is actually a chemist. She's not a lab technician, although technically in the show she's portrayed as someone who should be a chemist, but she's just being kept back because patriarchy.
It felt a little forced.
I'm totally going to get into that, but let's stay on the on the synopsis for now. So I'll just go with IMDb. So set in the 1950s, Elizabeth Zott's dream of being a chemist is put on hold when she finds herself pregnant, alone, and fired from her lab. So yes, just a bit of context. I'm quite into this this book, this whole universe, because I'm using Lessons in Chemistry, the book, as one of my case studies for my master's dissertation, which is essentially it's exploring the depiction of sexual assaults and how the depiction of sexual assault in film, literature, and theater can cultivate empathy in the audiences or the reader.
Nice.
So my focus on the book itself is pretty much the sexual assault part. That being said, I like that the sexual assault part is not the main part of the book or the series. It's kind of an undertone that we keep getting flashbacks to, and has pretty much affected her entire life. But as a character, she kind of doesn't want to let it define her, and this is one of the reasons actually why I chose it, because I like the idea that it's not necessarily all about that, you know, but it's still kind of ever present. So inevitably, I mean, since I'm quite familiar with the book by now, I obviously started to make comparisons immediately. But to be honest, overall, it's not too bad. I mean, given that it's an adaptation, and always going into adaptations, I try to like lower my expectations as much as possible. But something you said immediately struck me, and I felt almost straight away that I feel like the sexism is a bit overdone. Now, what do I mean by that? There is a lot of sexism in the book, but generally it's a bit more subtle. It's a bit more subtly done.
Yeah.
So they would be kind of
I had a
side
feeling that was the
comments.
case with the book.
You know, so you're familiar with the book as well.
No. I haven't read the book, but as
Okay.
I was watching it,
Uh-huh.
in my head I was thinking, I have a feeling this is done much more subtly in the book.
Yeah. And it's disappointing because it's kind of I don't like it when they do this on screen. I don't like to, but yeah, it's a tendency that you know this happens on screen, that we're not trusting the audience enough to kind of elicit the sexism themselves, so we have to fucking stomp it in their faces to make sure, look, they're being really sexist. I'm like, okay. So like the whole bit of the pageant close to the beginning of the first episode, that was all made up. Like there's no pageant. I mean, it's a research institute. Would they have a pageant? I mean, come on, like that really pissed me off. So yeah, there were a couple of things that was just like,
Friend,
really?
the part where they don't want to they don't want to, which was it? When they went in together to talk about their research project
That's
and to get the funds. Was that in that?
No, that's not in the book either. No.
Okay. So
They
how
took
does that
quite a
work
bit
then?
of liberty. And the author Bonnie Garmus, she is in on it. She's an executive producer, so she's calling shots from what I can understand, which surprises me, because I'm not saying that the book was absolutely subtle. I mean, there are still some very obvious examples of sexism, but they were obvious enough in the book. It didn't need to be any more highlighted. I mean, we all know how sexist people were in the 1950s, and they did not need to add anything else, for it to make its point. So
I'm glad you're the one saying this right now, because I had the same thoughts, to be honest with you.
And to be honest, I was watching just the very first like 10-15 minutes. I was watching it with my partner, with George, and he was like, "Oh, like they seem to be exaggerating it a little bit." And at first, my reaction was like, "What do you mean? Like people are actually the sexist?" But it's true. It's true. People generally, I mean, most of the time, the way people are sexist is not like really in your face, kind of the way that
You're a woman, you're a woman,
exactly,
you're a woman.
exactly. Oh, like go make me a sandwich, I mean,
Go make
that-
us. No, go
that's
make me my coffee. You
exactly,
make good coffee.
exactly,
Woman, go make
exactly.
my coffee. Even though
Even
you have a
those
master's in chemistry, but you
as
make
that,
my coffee.
as
And
that,
that inferior male chemist will continue being a chemist, whilst you, who are
as
the
that,
smartest chemist of us all, will make coffee for us men.
as that.
It was a bit on the nose, let's put it that way.
Yes, yes, very much so. That being said, I think Brie Larson's performance till now has been pretty good.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So what were your thoughts, Andrea? I mean, aside from
No,
this thing
overall,
of it being on the news.
I'd say my thoughts were quite positive about it. Like I finished 2 episodes and I was very happy, and I'm looking forward to watching the next episode next week. Because apart from the very on the nose tackling of the theme of sexism, I thought it was a great, well produced series. I love the costumes and the makeup, the hair, everything feels like very, very 1950s. Even the scene, the opening scene was great. The scene where she's preparing for the show and then she comes on and see the
Yeah.
transformation. That was great. And
Mhm.
the ending, I don't know if it was the ending of episode 1 or 2, where she burns the lasagna.
Yes,
That scene was fantastic. That
that's
scene was
also made
really,
up.
really good.
That's also made up, but I was
That's made
glad.
up. Okay.
But it
But that was
worked.
a
It
really
worked.
good
Yes,
inclusion.
yes, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Like her face, her like Brie Larson is a fantastic actress.
She is. She is.
I mean, she's won an Oscar for God's sake.
Uh-huh.
And I'm happy to be seeing her in something which isn't Marvel related, because I feel like I haven't seen
Right?
her in something which isn't Marvel related in ages, since she won her Oscar, basically,
Mhm.
or the fucking Fast and Furious movies. So franchises aside, I mean, she's a great actress, and she shows off her like acting chops really well here.
Agree.
Overall, I think maybe sometimes the pacing is a little off as well. I don't know if I'm getting a little impatient. I don't know what you think about that, friend.
Um, I'm not sure I'm the
It's a bit
best
too slow
person to
for me at
speak about
times. I don't
that
know.
because I'm paying attention to every detail. So
Okay.
since I'm doing that, I don't feel like I'm viewing it the way other people would, if you know what I mean. Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
pacing, though, there was actually a scene which I felt was too rushed. And if
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I don't know if maybe there must have been some reasoning behind this decision, but if it were me, and maybe because my dissertation is focusing on this, so I'm particularly focused on it. But even in the book, it was a painfully long scene, and it should be, was the rape scene.
Mm.
I feel like it was really rushed. Really rushed. I mean, considering that we're
This is
constantly.
on TV, though. I mean, I get
I
why they rushed
agree.
it, but
Yeah, fair enough. But I don't know if you remember Promising Young Woman, which
yeah.
incidentally is one of my other case studies. That was, I mean, it wasn't easy to watch, and I guess maybe TV has different rules, I suppose. But
I think it's TV, so the fact that it's on like on a
mm,
streaming service, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Could be the director's choice, could be the producer's choice, or it could be like a decision by the streaming service,
Mm.
by the suits to be like, listen, we know this is like an essential scene, so you have to show it, but maybe keep it a little short.
Oh, I would have been
I
like
don't know. I don't know.
livid if they hadn't shown it, because they're showing us how important it is. We keep flashing back to it. We keep seeing
No,
the
they have to show it.
pencil,
It's like a central part of the
of
story.
course. But I felt like, for a scene that we're literally been told that it's so important, like you're gonna give it to us in what, 30 seconds or less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I didn't obviously. I'm not talking about it being more graphic, but just more time. Give us her facial expressions, show us how much she's suffering.
Could
And
be
even
Fran
the
as well.
aftermath. Mm-hmm.
Could be as well. I remember when there was the Sansa Stark rape scene in Game of Thrones. There was a lot of criticism to how like graphic and how
Mm,
much that scene focused on like Sansa and the terror and the horrible experience she was going through. So it could be that was something they kept in mind
mm-hmm.
as well. Like, listen, and
I uh I
HBO got a lot of criticism for showing so much. Maybe we should
yeah.
tone it down slightly.
I can understand that. I would, even with the scene as it was, include a trigger warning maybe at the beginning of the show, or however they
I
could.
forgot if it had like a trigger warning or not at the
No,
start.
no.
I would include one.
I think it should. I'm
By the
always a
way,
bit.
Fran, I wanted to ask you because I had one question about this. Do you
Yeah.
think, having read the whole book and like knowing the story really well, do you
hmm
think this could have worked? Would this have worked better or worse as a movie?
Um, as soon as I heard that they're getting a series, I immediately said, okay, I guess why they're doing a series. It's not a short book, but even more than the length itself, it feels like a series. It happens in chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I mean, obviously, every book has chapters, but the story itself has
Mm-hmm.
chapters. So there's this chapter of her life, and then there's this chapter of her life,
Okay, all right. So,
and you'll get what I mean when the next episode
uh-huh.
comes out, or
Yeah,
the next couple
that's
of
what I was
episodes,
gonna say. Feels like this was the end
because
of her first chapter, right? Of her life,
exactly, without spoiling
without
spoiling it,
spoiling. Yeah,
but exactly, you know what I mean. That this
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
end of a chapter, and when it really feels that way. So they could have made it into a film, but I totally understand the decision to make it a series instead,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
we would have definitely missed the build up of the relationship between Evans and Zot. If
Mm-hmm.
which, to be actually, which I found very interesting. It was more drawn out than it was in the book, huh? The build
Mm.
up to their relationship. Like, they
Okay.
took longer to get together in the series than they did in the book, which I think normally might have bothered me a little bit, but the way they did it didn't bother me so much. Because
Okay.
you're getting her resistance, her desire for independence, her trauma. So
Nice. All right.
So I was
To
okay with
conclude,
that.
Fran,
hmm
do you recommend the series?
Um, I would like to see more, to be honest. To, I mean, I wouldn't say. I'd say yes. Try it out. But I would understand if someone told me, listen, it's a bit slow moving for me. So maybe if you're like really fast paced stuff, I wouldn't necessarily say this is for you, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as you said, maybe the pacing isn't the best.
Mm-hmm. Like,
But
yeah,
anyone into feminism or anything in that realm, go for it, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. This is definitely for you.
hmm
um, like one thing I was thinking about as I was watching the two episodes, like I was enjoying it. I enjoyed them. So don't get me wrong. I would recommend the series. And that I'm looking forward to watching episode 3 as it
hmm
comes out on Friday, I believe. But
Yeah.
one thing I would think was if I had to sit down and really, really edit this really heavily, I feel like I could have made like a opening 30-minute part of a movie from these 2 episodes if I edited really heavily, but still keep like the most important stuff there. I feel like I could have turned this into like a 30-minute, like opening 30 minutes of a movie. That's why I asked you the do you think this would have worked better as a book, or does it work well as a series? But obviously then you'd lose out a lot on the developing the relationship between Elizabeth and what's his name, Lewis Pullman, and obviously we get into more detail in how like her struggles at work and so on. So I understand why was turned into a series, but I'm interested to see if this can keep my attention, because now like you watch the first 2 episodes and you're like, okay, interesting, something like really happens at the end of episode 2. You're like, okay, so let's watch episode 3. But I'm interested to see if this will actually manage to keep my attention episode. Because unlike Fall of the House of Usher, I feel like this could actually have benefited from being like a whole binge watch. I don't know what you think about that, Fran.
I see what you mean. I'm not sure, actually. I think you might be right. I wonder if they'll manage to sustain that kind of intrigue week after week.
Yeah, the viewership, right? Because with something like Fall of the House of Usher, you're like, oh my God, did you see that person who died? And like, there's a massive, I'm not going to say when or where it happened, but at one point, like hundreds of, like almost 100 people are slaughtered. I'm not going to say how, I'm not going to say when, but that happens in Fall of the House of Usher. So, and that's how the episode ends. So, like, I would imagine if that was something which was coming out weekly, everyone would be discussing. Like, it's the number 1 on IMDb, Fall of the House of Usher. So everyone would be discussing this at work and saying, "Holy shit, dude! Did you watch that scene last night? Oh my God, that was awesome!" Like, in the case of Lessons in Chemistry, obviously, no one's going to be like, "Oh my God, did you see the chemist created that?" No, there's a more, like fantastic writing and storytelling, great performances. It's a different kind of thing. Less like graphic violence, more focused on the themes and the message and the great performances. I wonder if it will maintain its viewership. Obviously, Apple, none of the streaming services share, how well a series keeps its viewers. So we'll never know with that. But what we can know is to see how popular a series is and how much a series is looked up on Google, for example, which is one way you can track this kind of stuff.
I'm actually checking how many episodes there are going to be, and there only 4 are listed. I don't know if that's going to be
I
it.
thought it was 8.
No, it could be that they're
8 episodes,
just
8 episodes in total.
Okay. Because
it
as you're
concludes on
saying,
November
and this
24th.
It's you make a very good point, honestly, and knowing how the story is going to progress, I can see that being a potential problem. Now they're taking quite a bit of liberty here, so who's to say they won't invent some kind of sucking incident that will keep people hooked?
Exactly. So the next episode, Fran, is a surprising discovery leaves Elizabeth feeling isolated and alone. We know why is that's the case, but she finds comfort in her new friendship with Harriet. So we'll see how that develops. Living Dead Things. We'll see. To be fair, the ratings are really high. It's 8.3 for episode 2 and 8.1 for episode 1. So people are liking it.
The book made quite a hit, huh? The book, it was summer of last year, actually. So not the summer that just passed, but the one before that. It was bestseller in most bookshops. You'd find it like first book. I was in London at the beginning of summer, and that's where actually I discovered it. As soon as it came out, it was like this massive hit. So it didn't surprise me, and I wonder how those ratings. I mean, I don't want to sound like the voice of doom, but I wonder how those ratings are going to hold up over time. Because I feel like this might be initial excitement. I'm not sure. But we'll see. We'll see.
Lots of tens. All right. So, Fran, I think we can conclude here. I think we've tackled all there was to tackle. Viewers and listeners, first of all, thank you for joining us live as always and leaving your lovely comments in the comment section. To the viewers and listeners who are watching this after, let us know in the comment section below. Have you watched any of the movies and series we talked about? Joe talked about All of Us Strangers. Then I talked about Burial. We talked about The Fall of the House of Usher. And now we just concluded with our thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Lessons in Chemistry. Let us know in the comment section below. Also, please, to our viewers on YouTube, leave a like. Show the YouTube algorithm gods that you are enjoying our content. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. Let everyone know how much you love the Adler podcast. To our listeners, don't forget to leave a heart on Spotify. I promise I will try to release this on Wednesday. I'll release it on Wednesday on Spotify. And leave a heart. Again, share this with your friends and your family if you're enjoying it. Thank you, Francesca, for joining us today. It was a
My
perfect
pleasure.
episode for you to join us with Lessons in Chemistry, you being the expert. Anytime you wish, please join us. Oh my God, these scratches look horrible. Jesus.
Have you been
Football.
fighting?
Football stuff. Oh, lots of football stuff. I have so many scratches on my hand. Like, it's all scratched over here. Like, my foot is butchered.
Oh, wow.
I have been through the wars. No, that's football stuff. So thank you, Fran, for joining us. Anytime you're available, let us know and join us. Always great to have you on.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Been a pleasure. Great episode. And with that, adieu. Ciao, ciao, guys.
Bye,
Ciao, ciao,
everyone. Thanks
viewers
for
and
listening.
listeners.